All right, hey everyone. What is today? Today's Wednesday. My gosh, time's flying by. So thanks so much for coming and watch this video. Sorry for the late live stream. It's 10 o'clock right now, Central Standard Time. So if you guys are in Eastern Time, you're at 11 o'clock, and if you're someplace else, it might be even later. So, but we're gonna get it through this. We got Hive operational update today. We also have CORZ obviously providing their Q1 results, which were actually really good, right? EPS was positive, so that was a good sign there. We'll look at all the numbers. I did listen into the earnings call as well while I was putting in the numbers, the data from the Q1 results. And we also have just a quick news bit from Cleanspark. They promoted 2 people from within the company. So we'll get into that, and we'll get into obviously Bitcoin miners as well, how they did today. All that's coming up here. But as always, you guys know this. This is my full disclosure, right? Not financial advice for entertainment only. And if you enjoy this type of content, hit the like button, subscribe, helps me out tremendously. And let's take a look at what's going on here with Bitcoin metrics really quick. Right, we started kind of doing this here recently because it's obviously we're past halving event, so this is very important for the miners going forward here. And we can see here that the total network hash rate has come down here. This is on the, I believe this is on the 7-day here, if I'm not mistaken. Let's take a look. Yep, 7-day. So on the 7-day, we can see here that the network hash rate has come down to 581 exahash right now. Right, so it's definitely come down from the peak. We were at 650 exahash here on the 7-day average. If we look at the 30-day average, that should be coming down as well, and we are seeing that finally come down here as well. That's down to 616 exahash compared to where it was around 625. So we're seeing miners, obviously, that are not profitable right now, turning machines off, some of the older generation miners at least. So we are seeing that cleansing in the network a little bit, like we always do after the halving event. This time around, it was a little bit more delayed because Bitcoin price has been much higher, and obviously the transaction fees were much better than we anticipated. Okay, but we are having that dip in the network hash rate, which is good, because in the end, it's going to obviously lower difficulty, which in turn will make the miners that are still mining more profitable by that turn. Okay, so that's the network hash rate right now. Let's take a look at the Bitcoin fees per day. Those are still staying low here. Those are at 30 BTC per day, so they continue to climb down here. And then if we look at the network hash price right now on the miners, we can see here that dipped all the way down to 46 today, 46.9, and it's going to back up to 47 a little bit here as well. So it's still obviously pretty low from where it probably should be for the miners. Well, in a sense, it's good. Obviously, we're getting rid of some of the older miners that are out there, and that's making the network that much more efficient. So that's a good sign there. Okay, looking at Bitcoin here, I talked about this in the last 2 days or so, or 3 days, that if Bitcoin doesn't hold this line here at 53,700, we would be possibly coming down to our next support line, which is at 61,000. And sure enough, we went down below it just a little bit, and then we bounced off of it and we closed above it, which is a good sign here for now at least. We'll see how this reacts. If this doesn't hold, we might be coming back down to our 57,500 mark around here. But I'm guessing maybe we'll hold this and we'll continue going forward. Only time will tell. Nobody knows the future, right? Nobody has a crystal ball. So we'll kind of go with that. And then as far as the miners today, the miners were all down for the most part, except for like, what is that? 5 of them. We're in the green today. CORZ is obviously green on today. It was green in the after hours as well, which is nice to see after the earnings came out. Not sure why it didn't pop a little bit higher than it did, but we'll get into the numbers here for them. IREN was up also 1.18%. Mawson, for absolutely no reason there why it was up today, 6.14%. Riot was up 1.77%, and SDIG was up 0.68%. Sorry. Anybody that was down quite a bit here? Not really. I mean, some were flat here. Looks like Wolf was flat, Hut was flat, Hive was flat, and then some were down just to 1%. So it wasn't that bad of a day for the miners. Okay. So that's the miners there. Let's get into the stories that we do have here, which first one is going to be on Cleanspark here. So Cleanspark names Chief Operating Officer and Chief Technology Officer. And this is obviously great news for those guys. I think especially talked to Taylor before on the spaces, on X Spaces. Very, very knowledgeable in this space. So congrats to him. Today, obviously, they announced appointments of Scott Garrison as Chief Operating Officer and Taylor I don't know how to pronounce his last name, Monig, as Chief Technology Officer. So congrats to those guys there. Definitely deserve it for sure. All right, next here is obviously Hive. So Hive Digital announces April 2024 Bitcoin production with 5 exahash and hodl growth to 2,377, which is good news, right? Hive is one of those miners that's just consistently operating efficiently, consistently kind of growing their hash rate rather slowly, but they're still growing, right? They're updating their fleets, and they're just not getting the love. I was invested in them for quite a long time, from 2017 all the way through basically last year. I held through the bull run in 2021. Right, everybody was saying Bitcoin's going to go to 100,000. We only got to 69,000. Well, I didn't sell at that point. I thought we were going to go back up, and I finally sold just here in the last 6 months or so. And the reason I sold them was because I didn't see the growth in them. Right, so that's kind of what I was looking forward to more so, but they weren't delivering on that, so I had to sell, unfortunately, and look at other miners that were growing much more going forward. Okay, but they're still very efficient. They're pretty much always cash flow positive. I mean, they're just an all-around great miner, but not a lot of growth. Okay, but here's what we got here. So April 24 highlights, mined 212 Bitcoin in April 2024. Ended April with 5 exahash ASIC mining capacity, increased to Bitcoin HODL, increased to 2,377, which was good. And then as of May 6th, right, as of yesterday, Hive's HODL position grew to 2,400 BTC, up from 2,377 at the end of April. All right, so they're definitely stacking their BTC, which I think is good, because as Bitcoin price goes up in value, they'll have more cash at that point. And if they're smart about it, they will use it to expand maybe even more, which would be nice to see as well. But that's kind of what we have here. It was actually pretty short and sweet a release from them. Usually that's a lot longer here, but this is really what we need. It's just basic points, what's going on here, things like that. And then we also talked about here a little bit, where was it? I saw it. It was over here someplace. Here it is. We are also excited about the progress in our high-performance computing HPC strategy, repurposing our suite of NVIDIA chips to meet the global demand of AI data services. This growth remains on track as anticipated, and most importantly, is generating expanding positive operating income. So that's good news there, right? We don't have any data on it right now. We'll get some probably information on it when they do report their Q1, or for them it might be like Q3 numbers, I think, just on their end of year when their end of year ends, okay? So let's take a look at a Hive here really quick. 88 million shares outstanding roughly. Stock price today was $2.27. Market cap 200 million. For them, it's actually kind of low, I think. They should be valued a little bit more. We'll look at that here shortly. But you can see here their performance hasn't been great over the last 12 weeks. Down 23% from 12 weeks ago, down 44% from 8 weeks ago. And then obviously from 4 weeks ago, they were down 20%. Last week, they were down 20% again, which is, wow, they were down 61 cents. Something's maybe not right there. Maybe off on something here. I'll have to take a look at that one, because that seems kind of odd that they would be down 61 cents and down 20% in 4 weeks and then 1 week. So I'll take a look at that. Current hash rate, 5 exahash, right? Should have run this probably up. Future hash rate about 4 point, that's wrong too. Why is that coming in wrong? 4.48. Oh, I forgot to add something. I know what I forgot to add. I had to split some miners up today to add them in, and I forgot to add those in. Yep. Those are these miners right here. And I'm sure if I had to do it over here, I did. Okay, like I said, I have over 100,000 data points on these miners. So if I miss something, I will miss it from time to time, but we will get it corrected here. Okay, so that should be all good there. So now 5.8 exahash future hash rate, roughly around 6 exahash or so. So they still have obviously some growth left for them. BTC, their HODL position, 2,377, valued at about 147 million right now. Right, then their HODL to market cap is 73.51 million. So they're kind of like in the same boat as Hut 8 is, right? Hut 8 is like being valued at around 80% of their market cap and HODL that they hold right now. So they're not being really valued on their operations side of things, excuse me, which I think is unfortunate, but it's understandable, right? They're not growing as much as some of the other miners, and that's kind of why they are where they are right now. But like I said, they're very efficient. Looking at the BTC production here, that has obviously been coming down, but up a little bit here in March and April. It was down from March into April, 212. But they've been installing newer miners, getting rid of some of the older miners as well, and getting more efficient, so that's good there as well. Monthly mining revenue was down just a little bit here to 13.9 from 15.17 million in March, so that's still really good there. BTC HODL has been increasing. It's the highest that they've had in the last 13 months or so that's good there. Total hash rate here right now, 5 exahash. Right, we're seeing obviously continued increase here going into the last 3-4 months or so. Yeah, and that's good to see. Obviously, we want to see continued growth. Monthly BTC sold, they've been selling, well, almost nothing here in the last couple of months, but they're selling a bit more now. Understandable. And then BTC per exahash efficiency, very efficient, 42.41, and their BTC sold value there. Going down here to institutions inside of things, institutions did increase here a little bit by 2 to 128. Shares increased to 28.63 million, so that's good there. Percentage increase to 27. We still have only the 2 buy ratings, 1 hold rating, and price targets for them came in at $6.55 for the high, so that's actually down from the $6.63 that they had. And then the average is also down a little bit here to 535, and the lowest stayed the same at 350. Okay, as far as the miners are concerned, what did we install this time around? We installed these 200 terahash miners, the S21s, and we installed about 300 of those here to get us to the approximately 5 exahash, right? And then I had to add in approximately 2.3 million in Bitcoin transaction fees on top of it. So they were pretty much operating for the full month, which is good to see here for 30 days in April. And like I said, they're one of the best here as far as efficiency comes to mind. So I do think they should be valued much, much higher from where they are. But here's what we have. So current quarter revenue, I believe I'm using the most recent one. Yeah, June numbers. And then we're also using the March, which are estimated numbers right now. And then the actual numbers for December and September quarters. The combined total, then we're looking at that based on the numbers. We're looking at $6.65 to $9.97. They're at $2.27. They are definitely way undervalued. They should be at least 3x from where they are right now. And if we look at the over here, the weekly, you can see that Hive, over the last 52 weeks, from their 52-week lows, they're only up 11.9%. They're the worst performer here as far as percentage gains are concerned, right? I don't know if it's rightfully so or not, but that's kind of where they are right now. And like I said, I think they are definitely way undervalued from where they probably should be. And I think that's mainly driven by not, how can I put this lightly, not huge growth going forward. Okay, that's basically what I'm looking at here on this. All right, so that is it for Hive. Definitely a great miner, but definitely undervalued as well, based on where they are right now. Okay, next here. So Core, I was looking for Core's 10K annual report or 10Q report. They haven't uploaded that yet, it looks like. Yeah, someone uploaded it. And the reason I was looking for it was to actually get the number of shares outstanding currently, because usually when they report those, they'll report how many shares they have at that point. So I'm still using it based on the older numbers here. But here's what we have, obviously. So Core Scientific announces fiscal first quarter 2024 results. Their EPS was great, right? And we'll get into some of the other things here as well. And there's some things I'm not quite sure on why they happened. I'm not an accountant or anything like that. So if you guys have any input on that or any insight, definitely let me know. Okay, so generated net income of $210.7 million, including a gain on extinguishment of prior obligations of $143.8 million. Okay, so I guess that's good. Their produced adjusted EBITDA of $88.0 million. Strengthened their balance sheet, ending their quarter with $98.1 million in cash and cash equivalents. So that's good there. And then they improved their average actual self-mining fleet energy efficiency to 26.85 joules per terahash, which is also good there, right? And then you guys can read the rest of the stuff. I'm not going to get into it. But they did provide all the numbers down below. I did listen to the conference call or the quarterly numbers report for them, the conference call on that. And then these are the numbers that I used in my spreadsheet as well. We'll get into that here shortly. But here's what I thought was kind of interesting from at least the earnings call. So what we got here was, the main thing that I took away was, and correct me if I'm wrong here, I was putting in numbers and I was doing this at the same time, or listening to the conference call. But they want to do another 500 megawatts of AI tier 2, tier 3 data centers, right? And they're wanting, obviously, to do those the right way, it looks like. So they're going to be spending quite a bit of money on that. I mean, if you're looking at 500 megawatts and let's just say you're averaging 5 million per megawatt, that's, what is that going to be? I mean, that's a lot of money there. So I'm not sure if I missed something on that. Correct me on that one. But that's obviously, that's a huge plan, AI, right? Everybody, or HPC even, everybody that is dealing with these miners right now, or the miners that are dealing with AI right now, they're looking at like 4, 5, maybe 10 megawatts of space. Nobody's talking about 500 megawatts. I mean, this is huge. They did say that they are, having customers reach out to them, and they're also looking to reach out to customers as well. So it's kind of a 50-50 on that side of things. So that's kind of interesting. And they're also looking to have the customers potentially fund this like 100%, and then somehow get paid back somehow for that. So that's kind of an interesting take on it. What else do I see here? They're looking to generate 1.4 to 1.6 million per megawatt for the AI side of things, I believe. I don't know if that's annually. It can't be monthly, I don't think. Maybe, I don't know. But correct me on that one as well. And then the other thing that I found was interesting is that they use their own in-house firmware for their ASIC miners right now. Instead of using third parties, whether you have to pay like a It's not really a subscription fee. It's what's it called? I can't remember what the term of it is right now, but they're not having to pay that fee. So that's good. So they're at least saving money there. That's a good sign of obviously efficiencies and integration. All that stuff is good there. Okay, but let's take a look at the numbers that we do have here for them, and we'll get into the Q&A side of things as well. So if we look at Core, let's go down here to what they actually reported as far as their number of shares. So they reported 230 million here for basic and 282 million for diluted. Which number should I use for that up top? Because up top, I have them at 177 million. So there's obviously been some dilution happening there, which would obviously then also bring their market cap up quite a bit here based on that dilution. But I don't know which number to use. That's why I was waiting for the 10Q numbers being in there. So this is kind of what I'm at. So obviously these numbers are going to be off here a little bit here. Market cap 618 million right now. Based on that, it's probably going to be much higher based on the actual numbers of shares outstanding. You can see the last 4 quarters revenue here has been increasing quite nicely through Q1. Current quarter, we're estimating about 114.29 million, right? We're early in the quarter right now. We're in, excuse me, May. Actually, we're halfway through it, it looks like right now. Wow. So we had April and May. Obviously, this is kind of what we're looking at. April still had quite a bit of the before having, right, blocks, rewards at 6.25. Now we're at 3.125. So that may come down here as well a little bit, but it also depends where Bitcoin goes. If Bitcoin starts going much higher, that's going to improve going forward. Last 4 quarters, operating costs minus depreciation was at 93.39 million. So that's been coming down. So that's good there. Cost to mine 1 Bitcoin minus depreciation. I have to look into this. This seems pretty high here, 28.86K for Q1. I will look into this because this seems really high because they were at 14.56 at that point in Q4 numbers. And that just seems kind of high. I'll look into that again. So take that with a grain of salt there. Bitcoin mined quarterly, that has been coming down here. Obviously, with network hash rate going up, we're going to see that on miners that are not growing as fast as network hash rate. Debt to equity lower is better. That's still a negative 3.5, it looks like, but their current ratio has actually improved. So that's good there. And I'll take a look at the number here as well. I don't know if that should be still negative or not, but I'll take a look at that as well. Total current assets, 143 million now, Q1. So that's obviously good there. Total current liabilities has come down to 138 million. So that's good there as well. So a lot of good things are happening here. Okay, going down to the numbers actually here. We can see here that cash and cash equivalents came in at 98 million. They had digital assets, or not digital, prepaid expenses and other current assets was 27 million, 28 almost. So total current assets came in at 143. So that's good. That's a nice increase from the 97 that they had here the prior quarter. Ending total current assets increased to 813 million. I mean, they're valued at, well, maybe they're based on the number of shares, it could be valued right around there, 800. So that'd be pretty fairly valued, or not fairly valued, but at least valued at their current assets or total assets right now. Let's see here. Liabilities also decreased here quite nicely. So accounts payable went down to 16 million from 154. Accrued expense and other things went down to 68 from 179. So that's good there. Oops. What else did we have here? Coming down quite a bit. Notes payable current portion came down to 23 million from 124 million. And then this is a new one here. Contingent value rights current portion went 15 million. But overall, it came down to 138 million from 488. So that's good there. Total other current liabilities, or longer term liabilities, that went up to operating lease liabilities net of current portion. That's up huge here, 69 million from 1.5 million. I'm not sure if anything got moved over from here to down here potentially. And then we have a couple of new things here. Convertible and other notes payable net of current portion was 556 million. And you got contingent value rights net of current portion 29 million and warrant liabilities 327 million. So overall, total liabilities not subject to compromise was 1.132 billion. So quite a bit there. Okay, maybe that's why the stock didn't do too well today. Going down here, total stockholder equity and preferred stockholder deficit, 813 million. Okay. And then down to the revenue side of things here, 149 million, almost 150 million roughly. If you look at this number here, and I'll go back up here, I had them at pretty close to that number. I was off by 0.01% on it. Couldn't be happier with that. I try to be within 2.5% on these guys when I run the numbers, but getting this close is like, oh my gosh, it's like picking the lottery tickets there. So really happy with that number. And where were we? Revenues. Yep. 149 total revenue came in at 179 million for them with 29.3 million of the hosting. That's actually kind of in line with where they were in the Q4. Revenue, obviously, for self-mining, obviously increased quite nicely here, so that's good. Bitcoin price went up as well. And then the profit margin for mining was 45%. Profit margin from hosting was 31%, and overall profit margin was 43% on it. Let's see, this is for, yeah, overall. What was the profit margin on? Okay, self-mining, digital asset mining. So 45% for self-mining. And then from hosting, it looks like it's 31%. So it's actually pretty good, right? Just a year or two back, they were not making any money on hosting. So they're at least making money on hosting now. And you can see that that has been improving here over the quarters, which is good to see as well. What else do we have here? Cost of hosting services, 20 million. So that's actually down from the 23 million. And then the cost of digital asset mining is up 81 million from 79. That's to be expected. They increased their hash rate, so you're going to have more electricity costs and things like that. Going down here, what else do we have here that's kind of interesting? I don't think there's anything. Research and, where was it? That's going to be in here. Research and development went down to 1.7 from 1.8, so a little bit of a decrease there. Sales and marketing went down nicely to 982,000 from 386 or 3.86. Well, can't talk. 3.886 million. So that's a good decrease there. General and administrative also went down quite nicely here to 14 million from 24. 10 million decrease. That is huge, right? That's looking really good there. Especially with the company getting out of bankruptcy, you want to be as lean as possible and keep your costs down as much as you can. So that's really good there. What else do we have here? Recognized items, reorganization items, net, right? Negative 111 million. So I think that helped them out there. On top of it, change in fair value of warrant and contingent value rights, negative 60 million here. So I think that's kind of what helped them out. And looking at it here, they came in at 91 to 78 cents per EPS per share. Really good, right? But I think that was mostly driven by these two numbers here that helped offset quite tremendously, because those are combined. Even with those, if you take those out, that's 170 million, they'd be 40 million in the profit. So maybe obviously not as much EPS, but they still would have been, I think, profitable at that point. Okay. So those are those numbers there. Looking at the other metrics that we have up here for them. Let's see, your BTC mine was 2,126 based on my numbers. That's down obviously from the 3,041 that they had in the prior quarter. Hash rate ended up 19.3. And then I got to look at these numbers here. Cost of mine on Bitcoin mine's depreciation. I got to figure that one out because that seems a little high here. They were 21 at the end of, well, let's see here. They reported giving 21 for the year. I'll take a look at it, see where I'm off on here someplace. Let's see, your debt to equity. You gotta look at that. Total liabilities not subject to compromise divided by total stockholder equity. See if that's coming out right. Okay, yeah, 1.1 billion there, and then stockholder equity being only 318. Yeah, so maybe that's why. Okay. Book to value 1.03. What else do I have here? Book value of equity assets negative 318. Excuse me. Price to book ratio negative 1.9. Enterprise value 619. EBITDA was 224. EV to EBITDA was 2.75. Revenue 179 million. General administrative was 14 million of that, so only 7.89%. Really good there. That's what I like to see here. And then obviously, like I said, I'm waiting on the actual numbers of shares from their 10Q report. Okay. So that is it. I mean, still based on that information, you can see that they are still way undervalued from where they probably really should be. Obviously, the debt is a concern. The warrants are a concern as well. The warrants will help pay off some of the debt and give them some cash as well. And then if they're looking to get to 500 megawatts of AI or HPC side of business with spending like 5 to 7 million per megawatt, what would that be? Even 500 megawatts times, what is that? Let's just do 6 million. 6 million, so that's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That's 3 billion in cost to build out 500 megawatts in AI HPC side of business. Okay, so that is it on core. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think of obviously the results here. But as always, my little sales pitch here. Patreon members get access to all these spreadsheets. Those are access to that is $8 a month. You might have a couple spots at $5 and $4. If you pay the annual fee, you get 10% discount, and you also get access to our private Discord server as well. That's my sales pitch there. Okay, and let's get into the Q&A side of things here. So we'll see what you guys have to say on all this stuff. Let me get into my Q&A side of things. Here we go. Okay. So bear with me. This is always going to be delayed a little bit here, about 15 seconds to 20 seconds or something like that. But we'll get through all these, obviously. Okay. Looking to see if there's any questions. Okay. Thoughts on Hive Digital Technologies? I was in them since 2017, all the way through last year. I thought they did really well as far as efficiencies and things like that. The growth part of things is where they kind of lagged, right? So, and then we can see that obviously with the price right now, they're lagging because of that, I think. HODL's been increasing, obviously they're efficient as heck as can be. And I think it's just a growth story there that's not playing out for them. But other than that, I mean, I think they're a great miner. Let's see. Okay, next question. Sebastian, do you think IREN will announce a surprise massive ATM dilution on their March 15th conference call? Once bitten, twice shy from Cleanspark Easter weekend dilution. I don't think they will, but they're already funded, fully funded to 20 exahash right now. I think they still have some portion left of their ATM or that they were using. So I don't think they're going to do anything new until maybe we get closer down the road here. I think they're going to hold off because right now the prices where the stock is, it doesn't make sense, right? You're already fully funded to 20 exahash. Hold off on that. Maybe another quarter or two if you're going to dilute more. Do it at that point. Hopefully Bitcoin will be up much higher at that point. That's kind of what I would do. Let's see. Michael says, I called the number for Hive but never answer the phone. They never answer the phone, I guess. Try them on Twitter. You might have better luck there. Questions, what are we expecting from Bitfarms? I wonder if there is a time frame for when they will upgrade to 10 exahash energized Paraguay, and is there anything new on the CEO? Nothing new on the CEO. They're supposed to get to 10 exahash in May, and then they're trying to get to 12 exahash by the end of June. Right, that's their goal there. I think that's what Ben from Bitfarms has stated. And no news on the new CEO right now. So we'll have to wait and see on that one. One Lambo, never. I'm not that crazy. Big thing is obviously to provide support for my family as much as I can. Pay off my student debt when time comes. Maybe pay off my house at that point. I don't know, pay off my car. You know, do some traveling and maybe a little bit as well. Enjoy it, and probably put money back for my kids' college fund or something like that. I don't want to spoil them though. I'll pay for their college if they go to college after they're done with college, but I'm not paying for it while they're in it. Question, do you think it's time to look at CORZ? I understand the past issues, but they are the biggest hodler and the most efficient miner. Still, I think one of these days it'll pop like Cleanspark. Are you talking about CORZ or are you talking about Marathon? They're not the biggest hodler. Marathon is the biggest hodler right now, so maybe you have that mixed up. But CORZ is definitely undervalued, I think, because obviously the bankruptcy thing. The numbers right now were obviously helped with some of the offsets from the bankruptcy side of things, it looks like. So we'll have to see how the numbers go forward. Obviously, there's a lot of good news there with CORZ. SG&A came way down. Other things came way down as well. Cash on hand went up. So they're doing all the right things. And I think Adam's doing actually a fantastic job there. But it'll be interesting to see how they grow forward. Oh, one of the other things I forgot to mention there, they also stated that they could obviously increase their hash rate by 10 exahash just by exchanging or swapping out older miners for newer miners in the facilities that they already have without having to add additional facilities. So I thought it was interesting. So if they're at 20 some right now, they could get to 30, something like that if they wanted to, which actually would be kind of pretty good if they did. Let's see here. Do you know if CORZ is running older miners? What impact do you think that will have on them if BTC stays flat? Okay, so let's take a look at that, right? So Core, let me pull my screen up here for Core. All right, so Core, if we look at the machines that I have here logged for them, and this goes all the way back to sometime before December 2021. Okay, so this was right around the end of the bull run here. But we got 98 terahash miners here. We got 102 terahash miners, 100 terahash miners here as well. Kind of mixed in between here a little bit when they're supposed to get those. But they obviously have a lot of miners that could be replaced. So if we look at how much exahash that is approximately 24x session. I think some of it's already come offline here. Looks like that. Yeah, we've been taking some of its stuff off already. So ideally they have, let's see here, get rid of those two. That one's gone as well. That's gone right there. Okay, so we're at 13 exahash. So if they wanted to double that, right, by getting newer machines, they could obviously do it. The 100 terahash miners right now are still profitable. That's the concern with the 90 and the 80 terahash. But if things continue to go south, with Bitcoin coming down more, that could actually be a pain point for them. But they have pretty good cost of electricity as well. So it would take, I think, like Bitcoin getting down to like 35,000 or something like that, or even lower for them to actually, be not profitable at that point. So I think they're doing good right now, but something definitely that they're looking into is changing out these older machines for newer machines, which I think would be really, really good. Okay. All right, let's get back to the Q&A. Okay. Hi, Sebastian. During the call, they said the number of shares is 180 million, so there were almost no dilution. Okay. So what are they using the 200? What was it? I got to look at my numbers. Too many numbers in my head. But they stated that basic and diluted. Oh, that's right, because they didn't get out of Chapter 11 bankruptcy, I think, until middle of January. So maybe that's why they're using some of the old numbers mixed in with there. Okay, that can make sense if that was the case. But yeah, I'll take a look at it, obviously, when they provide the 10K or 10Q numbers. That would be good. If there was no dilution, that'd be great. So then that makes them even more undervalued. Okay. Let's see. Do you think we may have a fall, August, September blow off top in BTC with miners peaking then? I don't know if it would happen that early. I think it would be the earliest that we would seen that happen. We haven't seen it before. So that would be only, 5-6 months? Not even that. We're having in April. We got May, June, July, August, and then September. Yeah, so about 5 months, 5 or so months. I don't know. I don't expect it, but anything's possible this cycle. Right? Bitcoin's already reached a new all-time high before the halving event. We've never had that. So anything is possible. Let's see. How much revenue do you expect IREN to bring in? IREN, if I look at their numbers here, I'm expecting revenue for the quarter should be around, where is it at? For March quarter ending, about 54 million, 53.9 million, somewhere right around there. And I've been pretty close on them, usually within 2.5% off. Last time I was off by 2.3. Prior to that, I was off by 0.022. So we'll have to see. But that's kind of what I'm expecting there, and just depends on what their costs are, right? SG&A, all that other stuff that gets added on, that may have an impact on it. Let's see. Is Mar going to beat or lose on earnings tomorrow, in your opinion? What were their projections for? I think they're going to beat it because obviously Bitcoin price has gone up way, way, way up from the beginning of the year. So I think I'm thinking it's possible they're going to beat based on that, even though they've had kind of lousy operations the last 3 months. But I think the Bitcoin price going up so much and they're a huge hodl, I think that's going to help offset that. That's just my thought on it. Okay, this is interesting here. Frank mentioned in interviews that they might look up to get to 12 exahash by the end of the year, just that they are not committing like other miners. They are looking to acquire bankrupt miners post-halving. Oh, interesting. I did not see that. So that's actually pretty interesting with Hive. Yeah, if they can do that by getting bankrupt miners potentially, but there's going to be a lot of companies looking for bankrupt miners potentially, trying to grow their hash rate. But if they can do that, that would be fantastic. And at that point, I think the stock definitely should shoot up more. I think they should just look for more infrastructure to build out, or just buy data centers that are distressed. I don't think you want to buy miners completely that are bankrupt or anything like that. I don't think you want to go with the thing that has too much debt on it. But that would be awesome if they could do that. What's going on with CORZ debt? I have no idea what they owe, what they owe, when they owe that. How was it all resold? A lot of this stuff was, there's so much stuff that you could go into. You'd have to look into the bankruptcy proceedings and all that stuff to really figure it out. But they do have, obviously, debt that they have warrants associated with. If the warrants reach a certain price target, they will get exercised. And at that point, they pay off quite a large sum of the debt that they do have. And they would also get some cash for it as well, which would be nice. So but those warrants have to reach $6 something and like $7 something or $8 something. Those two different tranches of it. It's not that complicated, but it is kind of complicated. What is IREN's fleet efficiency plus total cost per coin with SG&A and their break even with them being at 10x hash now? Oh, geez, I don't know. I'd have to look at the numbers. Actually, I had to run some numbers on it. I haven't done that yet for them. We have the numbers for, I think, end of Q4, basically. We have those numbers. But those are old numbers, so we really shouldn't go on those. Question, do you know how many shares Bitfarms diluted? Are they now fully funded to 12 or 21 exahash waiting for them to start claiming? Don't know. I know that they've been obviously pulling on the ATM, but we just don't know if they're fully funded yet. They haven't come out and stated anything. Maybe they will when they actually do the quarterly results. Don't know. But it makes them, I mean, you're better off reporting if you're done diluting that you're done diluting instead of waiting until the quarterly results. But maybe they're waiting for that to have a nice impact on top of what their earnings might be. Maybe, I don't know. But it would be obviously nice to get that, and I don't know if we're going to get that even in Q1 results. So we'll see. Okay, Sebastian, during the call, they also went over the debt, and it's less than 600 million and not over 1 billion, so that needs to be looked at as well. Okay, let's take a look at that really quick, because we'll look at the numbers that they actually provided here on their side of things. Liabilities and stockholder deficit, total assets. Okay, we got that right. Let's see here. Total current liabilities is 138 million, and then you go down here. Total liabilities not subject to compromise is 1.1 billion. So 600, maybe this part here gets taken out. The 556 million potentially. Oh, you guys can't see this. I'm showing this to you guys. There we go. So maybe this part. So here they're showing total liabilities not subject to compromise 1.1 billion, and then they got this 556 convertible and other notes payable net of current portion. I'm guessing that maybe shouldn't be counted in there. I don't know. I mean, it's so tricky with the bankruptcy that's I'm not an accountant, so maybe that's the thing that's being taken out there, out of it, right? And then you have the warrant liabilities as well. But if you take that out, you're down to like 600 million in debt potentially, current total liabilities on it. Because current liabilities are only 138 million, right? So that's kind of what we're looking at there. Okay, sorry. And maybe we'll get Adam on the Twitter Spaces or something like that one of these days, and that way we can kind of ask him on that as well, because that's definitely interesting on that. Let's see here. Sebastian, since Bitfarms uses hydropower, shouldn't their energy costs be super low and high Bitcoin profits? Bitfarms energy costs do not compute for me. I mean, yeah, I think they're like 4 cents something on average, right? They have multiple sites in Canada, Paraguay, one in Washington State, I believe, in the United States, Argentina as well. So they got places all over the place, facilities all over the place. And they do have mixed power costs across those sites. So some sites might be better than others, but it's kind of like mixed in there. And it also, yeah, I don't think they have a PPA in place, so I think they're paying kind of the prevailing prices right now. Am I crazy, or does CORZ seem primed to be the best miner entering 2026? 2026 is a long ways out. A lot can happen between now and then, especially in Bitcoin. So Bitcoin could be in a bear market at that point. Question, are you expecting Bitfarms to provide positive news on May 13th, or we should not keep our hopes up? I mean, positive news as far as them having a positive EPS, I think that's definitely doable. What other positive news are you looking for? New CEO, maybe? That might be positive news there. I don't know. I mean, if we get it, we get it. If we don't, we don't, right? We know that the long game or the long-term goal is obviously for them to reach 10 exahash, 12 exahash then, and then 21 exahash by the end of the year. As long as I can do that and Bitcoin goes up in value, I believe the stock's going to do very, very well. I mean, it's definitely undervalued from where it really should be right now. Do you expect positive results from IREN? They seem way undervalued. Yeah, just like Bitfarms, same thing, right? They're way undervalued. They're fully funded. I don't know what else they could possibly provide us with. They don't hodl anything, right? So they can't take advantage of the FASB rules on that. So they just got to be really profitable in their mining and have pretty good costs on SG&A, things like that. So we'll see. All right. What news do you think IREN will announce on their call? I don't know. I mean, pretty much everything's been kind of foretold a little bit, right? They're getting 20 exahash. That's fully funded. What else could they say? Maybe if they report they have a great AI customer or something like that, right? That might be something good there. But even then, why would you wait until the earnings? You'd want to point that out probably prior to it. Okay, recently into crypto. Got burned by Cleanspark with the ATM, but have recovered. Okay, good. Still heavily invested in Cleanspark. What will tomorrow bring, and what is the 12-month expectations? 12-month expectations are dependent on Bitcoin. Bitcoin goes up to, say, 150,000, 200,000 or something like that in the next 12 months. Then the stock should be much higher, probably closer to $70, if not higher than that. I've heard people saying it should be maybe like $100, $100 plus. If it gets there, that's great. My target's right around $70. If it comes close to that, I'll be happy. But I think it all depends on Bitcoin. Bitcoin goes much higher, the stock would be much higher as well. What would you value CORZ at currently? I mean, we have some numbers for them, right? This is before they actually dilute the warrants inside of things. But just looking at the numbers right now, based on the last 3 quarters and the current quarter that we're in, I have them between $19.40 to $29.11. They're at $3.48, right? Definitely way undervalued. But even if they get diluted by half, right, or 100%, let's just say shares go up double, right? They double from where they are right now. At that point, you're looking at somewhere around $9 something to, what is that going to be, $15, something like that, right on the higher end. So definitely undervalued, way undervalued, either way you look at it. Go back to Q&A. Let's see here. Analysts are looking for 7 cents for Cleanspark, I think, over 50. What do you think? Well, I mean, if you look at just their, I did a value. I did do it. Yeah. Let me see here. Let me put this up for you guys. There we go. Okay. I did a review of it, right, on the FASB side of things. Where's my FASB here? I know it's in here someplace. I got too many tabs or too many sheets. There it is. FASB. So Cleanspark, if you look at Cleanspark, what they had as far as HODL at the end of HODL at the start, HODL at the end of Q1. Take the Bitcoin price at the beginning, take the Bitcoin price at the end. It looks like they would, with the FASB rules, get an appreciation of about 231 million on that alone, right? That's not accounting for any revenue or things like that. Based on that, the number of shares that we have currently, we're looking at basically $1.03 in earnings just on that alone. Excuse me. Add on top of that the revenue side of things, and then also take out obviously expenses, things like that, and we're kind of looking between maybe like 70 cents and maybe $1, maybe, right? Somewhere around there. I don't know exact numbers here. I'm gonna run the figures on it, but it all depends on obviously what they put into SG&A, other expenses, and things like that. Okay, because it did buy obviously facilities in there. I don't know how that's going to get accounted for as well, but yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking at right now, just for their HODL itself, not accounting any expenses for it. Let's see. Is Graphene worth paying attention to? What should I know about them? I mean, you definitely want to keep it. I'm paying attention to the smaller miners as well, right? It's just seeing how they're doing, seeing how they're growing, because you might be able to catch another one of these Cleansparks that started with 100 petahash, and 3.5 years later is at 17 exahash going for 50 exahash, right? So you got to pay attention to them and see how they're doing. The only thing that with Graphene right now, they are asset light. They don't have any facilities. So you're just basically investing in them to buy properly the miners and things like that, put them in good hosting places. But yeah, definitely keep an eye on them. What else should you know about them? They're small, right? They have a small team, 3 people only there right now, running that company. But they have pretty good, ambitious plans to grow forward. So keep an eye on them. Are you going to tune into the Cleanspark earnings call tomorrow? When is that actually? I have to look into it. Is it in the morning? If it's in the morning, I might be able to. But if I don't listen to it when it's live, I'll listen to the recording of it when I do have a time to do it tomorrow. But I will definitely take a listen to it then tomorrow, right? And they're both competing tomorrow. It'll be interesting to see how those numbers stack out for both the companies. How come the miners are undervalued given that they will all only temporarily generate good profits based on cyclical nature of Bitcoin, because in those cyclical months, right, the 12 to 18 months that we do have Bitcoin going parabolic, their revenues are so good at that point. And then obviously you get people that FOMO in, right? You get all the hype, everything else. This is where we get the most appreciation in the miners at that point, because they can mine it at such a much lower cost. That's kind of the way it works, really. At least last 2 cycles it worked that way. We'll see if this current cycle will work the same way. Question: what is the reasonable price value for Bitfarms today based on the info you know about them? Ignore the FUD, Paraguay, and CO issues. Yeah, I mean, at that point, we're looking at, let me see here. For Bitfarms, I would think, again, looking at the last 3 quarters and the current quarter that we're in, which is estimated numbers for them, Bitfarms, I have in between right now $5.09 and $7.64. Undervalued. Way undervalued. Okay. When am I considering to sell my mining stocks? I mean, we're going to have to look at a bunch of metrics of the miners on Bitcoin itself, see where things are going. What is the sentiment? What is the fear and greed index? What is the stock to flow model showing us? What is the power law showing us, or power model showing us as well? All those things will have to be taken into account. We'll have to take into account also the, excuse me, the economy, what's going on around that, other things around the world, what are happening. So it's not that easy, but my original goal was for Bitcoin to get 180,000, and this was going back now basically a year and a half out. That was my goal. If we can get close to that, to 150,000, or like, I'll probably start selling if we get to like 125,000 or something like that. I do not want to be left holding the bags again like I did in the 21 cycle, where everybody was saying Bitcoin's going to 100,000. We only got to 69,000. So I'll probably start selling slowly once we get closer to 100, 125,000, something like that. I don't know where the top's going to be. I know I'm going to be able to time the top perfectly, so I'm just going to sell before the top potentially, and maybe after the top as well. See how things go that way. Let's see here. If CORZ uses a chunk of their cash to buy the stock on the open market to pump the price to 60, which would then give them the cash right back, plus lots of more. Maybe not a bad idea if they can do it. Let's see, who's your favorite CEO team, miner CEO team? I mean, I would have to say probably Cleanspark right now. I also definitely like Cypher in there. I think they're pretty good as well. Who else do we have? Riot. Obviously is building out really good now. They've obviously had issues in the past, but I think Jason's very forthcoming and open and honest about it, which I like. So that's a good sign there. He's also he was a professional poker player, I believe. So you got to kind of take things a little bit with that constraint there on him, because he could be bluffing you a little bit. But he seems like a genuine guy there, so I think he's doing pretty good there. Marathon, obviously Fred's made mistakes in the past where he's hyped the stock up quite high there with all their goals, but they never were able to reach them for a year or so. But I think right now, I think I would have to say Cleanspark probably. Bitfarms obviously was doing really good with the CEO, but the CEO's departing now, so we don't know what the CEO we're going to get there. Do you think the high interest rate would impact miners' price going up while BTC is ripping, because last cycle interest rates were near zero up until 2021, and then BTC market? No. Right? Interest rates were going up they weren't going up in 2023. Yeah, they were going up in 2023. And you can see the miners were actually going up at that point as well, right? I mean, the miners are up huge in the last basically 16 months or something like that, since they bottomed out at the end of 2022. And interest rates were actually going up at that point. So I don't think that has any impact on it. Also, what are the margins of HPC? I was hearing CORZ mentioning 75 to 80% profit margin. Is that accurate? I think if you're dealing with like a tier 2, tier 3 data center, or tier 4 data center, at that point you can ask those numbers, right? Because your capex on building out those infrastructures is so huge, and you need those profit margins to be able to pay that off, or to basically pay off the construction of those things. But the numbers that I've been hearing for some of the guys that don't have tier 2 data centers, they're using their regular Bitcoin mining centers to do it. It's lower than that, somewhere between 35 and maybe 50%. We don't know exactly. We'll know more once BitDigital reports, right? They have a huge contract for $50 million a year with somebody. We'll have to see what those numbers look at. But they're also using a third party to host those machines too. So That might be a reason why it might be a little bit lower. Let's see. Invest answers. James mentioned he doesn't see the miners outperform BTC as leverage play anymore. What are the odds the miners don't perform 2 to 3x of Bitcoin? Well, what are the odds? I don't know. I don't see how they would not. If Bitcoin is going to be going up, how are the miners not going to be able to outperform Bitcoin, especially if they're mining it at a much lower cost? Right? So, and you're already seeing a lot of the miners outperform Bitcoin in the last year or so. If you look in a shorter time frame, right, the last 3 months, 6 months, whatever it might be, you can see obviously the Bitcoin has outperformed the miners because the miners were coming down because of the halving event. But now we're past the halving event. Once Bitcoin starts going up much higher and the miners are still growing relatively well and they have pretty high ambitions to grow further, I think that's going to obviously propel the miners to go up higher in value at that point. Okay. Oops, sorry, missed one. Which companies do you think will go bankrupt or bought out next cycle? You mean like this cycle or next cycle, like in 4 years? If we're talking about this cycle, I think we might have 2 that might be in trouble. Argo, Sphere. We might have also, who else? Mawson might be in trouble at that point also. And Stronghold, obviously. Those are the ones that I'll be kind of like keeping an eye on there. Maybe some of the smaller ones. But the smaller ones, I think I would just say probably those 4 right now would be my probably biggest bets on something like that happening. I don't wish it on anybody because it's never fun, but that's kind of what we're looking at based on the numbers that we do have. Question, what are your thoughts on Wolf? I like Wolf. Great power costs and everything else. With the JV and everything, they also are looking to grow, right? But the debt, they got to get past the debt. They got to pay that off this year or restructure it. But I think they're looking to pay it off by the end of like Q3 or something like that, which would be great. And that's it on Wolf. Yeah. Let's see. Timing when to sell is the biggest challenge. What advice would you give to make sure we aren't still holding by the next bear market? Thanks from New Zealand. Okay. Wow. Must be morning for you guys there. I would just say dollar cost average out as you were dollar cost averaging in potentially into the miners, right? We don't know where the top's going to be, right? We learned that in 2021. A lot of people were saying, like I said before, 100,000, didn't get there. We got to 69,000. So if people are saying 200,000, maybe you start dollar cost averaging at like 150,000, 130,000, something like that, right? Kind of front run a little bit. And then if it goes up more, sell a little bit more, right? Kind of just percentage out as you were percentaging in as well on the miners at that point. Since last halving, there has been ginormous dilution in shares. More outstanding shares almost doubled. It's the same case with every miner. Maybe we don't see similar 10x gains this time. Yeah, we might not see. I mean, last time we saw more than 10x gains. Marathon had like 7,000%. So that was what, 70x gains, right? This time around, I think we will still see from the. If you're looking at, depending what you're looking at, if you're looking at from the bottom to where the peak might be, you're still probably looking at 10x gains on a lot of the miners. I believe Cleanspark is like up right now, like 500% from the bottom or something like that, 500 to 600% from the bottom. So that's 6x there. Marathon's up like 300% from the bottom as well. That's 3 to 4x. And then if they go up much higher from here, right, which people are saying that Marathon could get to like 80, 100,000 or $100 again per stock, you're still getting that possibly 10x on some of these guys here. And I think that will also be true for like some of the smaller ones that are growing really well, like Bitfarms, IREN, potentially Cypher as well. Cypher doesn't have growth until 2025, so that might kind of offset things a little bit for them. But some of the other miners as well, right? We still could see that. Sorry, I'm just reading a pretty long, I don't know if it's a question or... Okay, I don't know if this is a question on what there even be a bear, will there even be a bear market if institutions, pension funds start buying and holding a portion? Apparently, BTC ETF is not fully available until a year after approval. Okay, yeah, I mean, that's an interesting thought there. It's something that I've been definitely thinking about. Right, what if we don't have a bear market? What if we have only a dip of like 20% or something like that? Right, or have these 20% dips or corrections going forward? And the Bitcoin just continues to rip higher, or maybe rip slower higher, but it continues to go up. Or we just don't know that. So nobody's going to know that. Then how can you tell if that's going to happen even, right? You almost, I mean, if you're in profits, take profits, right? Don't be fooled to think that we might not have another bear market. And, you know, institutions are also pretty greedy. They're going to want to repeat if they can on these types of gains potentially, right? So whatever comes down may come, or whatever goes up may come down, and may come down harder too. So be thoughtful of that as well, right? If you're up 5, 10x, whatever, 15x, take profits at that point. I mean, that's just all lottery money right there. Let's see. You posted a video on IREN all costs per coin with SG&A. It was roughly around 89,000, but with the exahash at 6.5. But now that they are cutting costs, building out Childress, and now being 10, do you think it's now 70K? I think it might be even lower than that. I think now we're looking at possibly like in the 60s based on that, as long as they're cutting costs and everything else, right? So scale helps tremendously towards your fixed costs. SG&A is not really fixed costs because they throw in share-based compensation and all that stuff into it. But overall fixed costs should be like SG&A, right? Other things like that, employee expenses, those should be like more or less fixed costs. As you scale your business, right, the revenue from that business as it grows far outpaces the cost that you should have on your fixed costs. At that point, making it far, far more profitable for you to do it, right? So scale solves a lot of problems. Let's see. CORZ has strategically structured their debt for long-term payments. Yes. I believe mega A1 players will back them to or provide funds to partner a deal. There is severe power infrastructure shortage. I mean, depends who you listen to, right? Some people are saying that there is, some people are saying that there isn't. It's like, who do you trust? So it's kind of tough. But yeah, I agree. They do have long-term repayments with lenders and things like that. Let's see. Do you think they will report their all-cost coin and call for IREN? I'm worried that SGA might be high. We'll have to take a look at it, obviously, when they do report. Yes, we obviously want to have the all-in cost, and I don't really care too much. I care about the share-based compensation, right? Because that's dilution basically to you and I, anybody that's invested in any of these companies that do that. But it's a non-cash cost. At the end, what we really want to see is the cash costs and what are all in cash costs, right? That's kind of what we really want to see on that side of things. And, you know, we'll see. Maybe we'll see those numbers. If we don't, we might press them on one of the spaces if they attend. Again, if Den joins, or if we get Glenn also from IREN or somebody like that, we'll press them on that, right? What is the all-in cost based on cash? Follow up on BTC ETF point. Any context on how BTC ETFs are not available on most broker dealers yet? It depends on, right? They have fiduciary duties, and they have to do. I can't remember the term for it now, but I've heard it before. They have to basically clear the ETF within their guidance and whatever their risk tolerances are, right? So it has to get past certain, I guess, milestones, I guess you could say, or whatever it might be, and before it gets cleared and they can trade it on that. So it's still going to take some time, right? We're still in the early stages. Sebastian, what catalyst do you see for Bitcoin going forward? ETFs are sleeping. What will move BTC and why? I think it's just continued adoption. Right now they're saying Singapore might have an ETF as well. We're obviously past the halving event now. That was obviously a catalyst as well. That was driving kind of stock down and miners down as well. We're also getting close to the summer months, right? You always hear that sell in May, go away. That might have an impact on it as well, where we don't do anything really interesting until possibly after the summer, right? More like in September, October, which typically are really good months for Bitcoin, where we've seen also really good gains going back. So it might be just kind of in this period where we just kind of linger a little bit, maybe go up a little bit, come down a little bit, go back up a little bit. But I'm still thinking that in the long run, I mean, there's only 21 million BTC out there for people to get, and you're having a lot of people buying it. You got Block buying it now also, right? Monthly here. You got other companies possibly going to be buying it as well. So there's going to be definitely a supply crunch coming up. But yeah, also we need to see, I think we've had more inflows now into Grayscale's Bitcoin Trust than we've had outflows, which is a good sign there. So we'll see. What do you think Riot's price target will be when the price of BTC gets to 120,000? So that depends on their operations at Rockdale, right? Were they able to change out some of their problematic miners that they have for the newer miners, right? If they can do that, if their operations are much better there, how is their uptime at Corsicana as well? If they can operate closer to 100% at that facility, that's going to be a huge catalyst as well, because then it shows investors that yes, they can operate at a much better uptime and everything else, and than what they've had in the last basically 16 months or so of operations to Rockdale, right? So this whole build up to Corsicana is important, and we need to see obviously good operations from there. So I think if they can do that, then at that point you're looking at a much higher stock price. I think maybe at least 3 to 4x from here, if not higher. Okay. All right. I think we've gone through it all. We've been going here for an hour, so I think we'll call it a day. It's 11 o'clock. I'm getting kind of tired here. Let's see. What are your thoughts on BTC price for Q3? Thanks. I'm thinking we might be like getting, if things go well, we'll be around maybe 100,000 by the end of the year, maybe even past that. But that's kind of what I'm thinking here. Let's see. Would you ever create a miner crypto portfolio that we can follow? No, I do not want you guys following what I do. I'm okay if I lose money. I do not want you guys to follow me and lose money with me. I try to provide you guys as much information as I can and where I see things going, but I don't want you guys following me step in step. I want you guys to also do your own research on these guys, and then also you have to know your own risk tolerances and things like that. So I never want to do that. Let's see. Unfortunately, you skipped my question about IREN options. I don't do options, so I'm sorry I skipped your question. I didn't see it. Maybe because I saw options in there, I'm like, I don't know options. I don't do options. I just buy the stocks long term. No, not long term. You can say long term. I've had Bitfarms and Cleanspark since 2022. So 2022, 23, 2 years, 2.5 years now, right? So it's kind of long term. It's not short term. But a dollar cost average in miners. I sleep better at night that way. I don't have to worry about it. It just works for me that way at least. So, all right. That is it. Thank you so much for coming in. Again, if you guys enjoy this type of content, please hit the like button, subscribe. Helps me out tremendously. And then we'll obviously look at tomorrow's marathon numbers, Cleanspark numbers, and it might be also a late video tomorrow because I got my boys' soccer. I think they have soccer games tomorrow as well. So it might be a late day for me tomorrow. But we'll get through it all. Okay. And the last final question here. What are your thoughts on Biden trying to impose with BTC? We've seen this. It won't go anywhere. It's just, I don't know if he's just pandering to his donors, right? His donors are big banks, things like that. So he's just maybe pandering to them, but I don't see that going anywhere. We've seen this before. It didn't go anywhere. So I'm not too worried about it. All right. That's it. I'm out of here. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a great night. Bye.